Greetings. I am Brother Sylvester Muhammad, and this is my wife,
Sister Sandra Muhammad.
and we are amongst the many students in the classroom of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and his representation of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. We want to welcome you all out once again for the timeline of the original man as we deal further into the transatlantic slave trade, or the triangular transatlantic slave trade. But before we get into that, we want to give a salute to the 90-year birth of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, which is tomorrow. You know, we'll be getting up early to give thanks to Allah for his presence.
That's right.
But that also corresponds with what we had planned to read from today. Because the minister had, as we all have had, those of us who are members in the Nation of Islam, we had two births. We had a physical birth, and then we had a spiritual birth. And it was in 1954 that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad told the believers that he was waiting for his little helper. And in 1955, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan was born into the Nation of Islam. And one day I'm going to deal with a concept that the Christians believe in entitled the Immaculate Conception, which is really talking about our brother. And when that time comes, we'll deal with it. But right now, the minister is to fulfill of the prophet's prediction in reference to the 400-year sojourn of the children of Israel. As Abraham said, to know for a surety. God says to Abraham, to know for a surety, Abraham, that thou seed shall be a stranger in a land that is not theirs, and they shall serve them and afflict them for 400 years. And then he said, after that, God coming, God speaking, I will judge that nation whom they shall serve, and will they come out with great substance. But we're into that substance right now. We are the Nation of Islam, leading the point, infinity material. So now we're going to read from a play that the minister did entitled Organa, and a song that he wrote in 1961 entitled A White Man's Heaven is a Black Man's Hell. You want to start the reading, baby?
Yes, and also this is part 55 of the timeline of the original
Part
man.
55 of the timeline of the original man. Praise belongs to Allah.
Okay, so this is the lyrics of that song, A White Man's Heaven is a Black Man's Hell. Okay, it says, why are we called Negroes? Why are we deaf, dumb, and blind?
Let me say this before you get started. I have the actual, that was 61 when he did the first one. And it was in a calypso style. This is 1991 that when he redid the White Man's Heaven is a Black Man's Hell. And when he redid this, he told the believers in 1991 when he released it, he said, I have said a prayer that everyone that would hear, especially black people that would hear this final call, that they would be blessed to understand what I'm relating to them from God, and will begin to accept their own and strive to be themselves. So my wife is going to read from the White Man's Heaven is a Black Man's Hell, and may we be blessed to heed the call, the final call.
That's right, the Lord. Okay, again, the minister states, why are we called Negroes? Why are we deaf, dumb, and blind? Why is everybody making progress? Yet we seem to be lagging so far behind. Why are we mistreated? Why are we in this condition?
Yes.
Stripped of our name, our language, our culture, our God, and our religion. Here in America, all of our religious training has been gotten by the preacher. He has told us of a heaven way up in the sky that we can't enjoy now, but rather when we die. But all of the years that we were living, for us, there's nothing but hell, pain, torture, and misgiving. Yet the Bible speaks of a heaven filled with material luxuries, which the white man and the preacher has right here.
Right here on earth.
So we see.
Yes.
So my friend, take it for what it's worth. Your heaven and your hell is right here on this earth. So let's check back into history, which rewards all research, and tell just plainly that before the white man gained entry into the East, he was living in the caves of Europe
on the level.
A ravenous beast. Eating juniper
6,000
roots,
years ago. Come on.
Eating juniper roots and eating fish raw, till God sent Moses to civilize him and teach him the law. Then following Marco Polo, an explorer, he gained entry into Asia and Africa.
Yes.
From China, he took silk and gunpowder. From India, he took juice, manganese, and rubber.
Yes.
He raped Africa of her diamonds and her gold. From the Mid-East, he took barrels of oil untold. Raping, robbing, and murdering everything in his path. The whole black world has tasted of the white man's wrath. So, my friend, it's not hard to tell. A white man's heaven is a black man's hell. Before we came to America, we were living in the East by the Nile River. We were living in luxury, enjoying freedom, justice, and equality. We wore silken robes, slippers of gold. We were the wisest and we were the wealthiest and wisest people untold. Now we are the poorest of the poor. Nobody wants us at their door. So my friend, it's easy to tell a white man's heaven is a black man's hell. When the white man came to America, he told the Indians, I am your white brother. He said, red man, I'll treat you the best.
Yet and still,
he pushed the Indians further west. With his white woman and firewater, tricks and lies, he stole America. The original owner of this nation is cooped up on a reservation. So my friend, it's easy to tell. White man's heaven is black man's hell. He needed someone to work the land. His back was too weak. He needed you, black man. So he commissioned Sir John Hawkins to commit the worst, most grievous sin, to take a man who's born to be free and bring him down to slavery. Sell a man as merchandise. On his body, put a price. Oh my friend, it's easy to tell. White man heaven is black man hell. Allahu Akbar.
Allahu Akbar. So we pray that you receive that message that was given in 1961 and redone in 1991 as a prayer to our salvation. But let me say this before we get started with this transatlantic slave trade. I want to say to the whole of humanity, that in the Bible there's a story of the book of Job. I'm not going to get into it, but the book of Job, it talks about the sons of God came and Satan came also. And God asked Satan, so where come from thou, Satan? And Satan was busted. He said, well, going to and fro, looking to see whom I may deceive, whom I may deceive. And God told him, well, have you considered my servant Job? And I'm saying that to say that's this transatlantic slave trade. We are that Job, that was turned over to Satan And God told him, you can do everything you want to with him, but I will not allow you, but you just can't kill him. In other words, our faith in God through all that we've been through over the last 465 years is intact, even though some of us are believing in a mystery God. So
Right.
now we're going to get into this secret relationship between blacks and Jews. Now, are we just pointing at Jews? No, 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 no. We found out through their scholars that the Jew is really the engineer or the architect of the slave trade. My wife is going to read. Read, baby.
And also too, I was going to say, that some of us, they have killed a lot of us, but they cannot wipe us totally out.
No.
Because they cannot destroy what they didn't create. Okay.
That's right. Good point, baby.
All right, so this is the book, The Secret Relationship Between Blacks and Jews. This is volume 1. Okay? It states, in 1991, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, National Representative of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Nation of Islam, released the first of several volumes in the scholarly series entitled The Secret Relationship Between Blacks and Jews. This research was prepared by the Nation of Islam Historical Research Department in response to the increasingly vicious calumnies made against Minister Farrakhan, namely that he was anti-Semitic, and that by his strong advocacy of black economic and political power, he had somehow wounded the special relationship that Jews claimed had always existed between blacks and Jews. Not true. Okay.
Come on, bring the truth then, baby. Bring the truth.
It is 334 pages. The Secret Relationship Between Blacks and Jews, Volume 1, conclusively proved the veracity of Minister Farrakhan's position, revealing that Jews were in fact at the very center of the transatlantic slave trade. And the merchants, the financiers, the shippers and insurers, and among the leading international marketeers of the products of African slave labor.
My real monopoly men.
Real monopoly men. Deadly.
Come on.
Okay, this information was compiled from texts written by prominent Jewish scholars and historians such as Dr. Jacob Rader Marcus, Dr. Mark Lee Ralph, Dr. Bertram Korn, Dr. Abram Karp.
These are Jewish scholars. These are their writings, not ours. We just compiled them.
That's right. Dr. Herbert Bloom, Isaac Emanuel, and Leo Teritz, all of whom were actually rabbis.
Rabbis.
Okay?
Jewish rabbis.
Jewish rabbis. Today, The Secret Relationship Between Blacks and Jews, Volume 1, can be found in the collection of every major academic library, including those of every Ivy League college and university.
Yes, ma'am.
And that's a very key point. Okay?
The truth is out there.
It's out there. That's right. Since its publication in 1991, the critics of the Nation of Islam have quietly abandoned the persistent but mythological claim that Jews were either co-sufferers or innocent bystanders in the Black Holocaust.
Okay. Innocent bystanders. I mean, that's just like a person that throws a rock and then hides his hand. Come on.
That's right. Okay, it states this. It says ultimately, blacks can only redefine and restructure their relationship with Jews based on accurate analysis of the historical events that shaped Black-Jewish interaction.
Truths.
The Messenger of Allah, the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, taught that history is best qualified to reward your research, for only through the re-education process will blacks be empowered to establish informed and effective policies for black advancement and are no longer subject to manipulation and control by any other people.
Is that it?
That's it on that one.
Okay, on that one. Let me say this before we move on. This is when Job, let me go back to Job again. I forgot to mention, after Job had went through what he went through, then he came out with great substance. All right, he proved himself to be an instrument or a vessel by which God can pour his spirit into, but not before being tried. We are, as the minister says in Closing the Gap, infinity material. And just to give you an idea what it looks like, this is it, the diamond, that come out of our earth. To give you an idea of what it looks like, I put gold bullions on my advertisement. I'm going to have a picture because we're going to keep that gold out there in front of you. We're going to keep the diamonds out there in front of you, because as the white man thought that he was finna do a new world, well, it wasn't a new world, the same old slavery, suffering, and death that he'd been doing on our planet since we permitted him to do it 6,000 years ago. But as we begin to encroach on the real new world order, then the gold and the diamonds in our planet is going to be used to establish an economy that will take us into infinity. This little 6,000 years, trillions of years we've been on our planet, So this little 6,000 years are dropping the bucket. But we had to let him do what he had to do to prove himself, either that he was able to equal up to righteousness, or if he could not equal up to doing the right thing, then he would have to surrender.
And he has proved that he cannot.
But we gave it form and expression so that he can do what he does. Like Minister Farrakhan says, who's to blame? The potter or the clay. You got justice through the minister. You got a small time to surrender.
That's right.
All right, baby, let's read.
Okay. This is on page 15. This is the introduction. It says, Jews in the Black Holocaust. All truth passes through 3 stages. First, it is ridiculed. Second, it is violently opposed.
True.
Third,
Come on.
it is accepted as being self-evident. That's by Arthur Schopenhauer.
It stands alone. The Jew said that.
That's right. That's right. Okay. So, it reads, at the end of the American Civil War in 1865, whites worried about the continued growth and prosperity of America after their only source of revenue had been freed. Emancipation of the black slave was not the goal of the war, but an unintended and unprepared for consequence. Slavery was the only economic model that had ever worked for the European colonial experience.
So they used us as a scapegoat to unite their union, because they knew that the South had free labor, and if they continue to let them rule with free labor, then they would have been the brokers of this dispensation in time and not the union. Read on, baby.
And giving up its benefits for an untried, slaveless society was beyond the comprehension of American political leaders. That's right.
Good teaching.
In order for America to survive, they firmly believed the slave system, the very foundation of the American economy.
The very foundation of the American economy.
Yep, would have to
slavery.
That's right, slavery would have to be revived. African slaves would have to continue to work the vast plantations of cotton, sugar, tobacco, and corn.
Yes.
African slaves would have to continue to mine the iron, ore, and coal. African slaves would have to continue to construct and maintain the nation's burgeoning infrastructure.
Their back was too weak.
That's right.
They needed you, black man.
That's right. That's the song.
Come on, it's in the song.
That's
so
right.
they commissioned Sir John Hawkins to commit the world's most grievous sin.
That's right.
To take a man that's born to be free.
That's right.
And bring him down with slavery. Oh, you got to pay, player.
That's right.
Come on, baby, teach.
Okay, they never intended for us to be free.
That's
the point.
Never.
Okay. It said the nation's burgeoning infrastructure, the bridges, roads, railroads, canals, and all the development that accompanied Western expansion. And today, we sit, as a people and we talk about blacks, how we should pull ourselves up by our bootstraps, but we really don't understand the history that we went through, because to make that statement is an insult when we literally built this country from
literally
nothing.
built this country from nothing, free labor.
That's right. In fact, blacks were the only population that had the knowledge, the experience, the skills, and the demonstrated industry to perform these critical tasks.
Yes.
But after 310 years of unpaid and unappreciated toil,
Wow.
they had their own ideas about what to do with their valuable labor.
We had ideas too. Come on, baby, read on.
Despite black people's vision of their future as free American citizens, white elites enacted specific policies in every sector of society that in effect would rebuild the slave system and return the African to servitude.
Refusing us to freedom.
That's right.
Come on, baby.
Ooh. On a massive scale, they attempted to dispose blacks of the notion that they had any rights in America, save the right to work for a white man.
Mainly the Jews.
Yeah. A series of private and public sector policies, which came to be popularly known as Jim Crow laws, were enacted to achieve these ends.
Wow.
And every white man, woman, and child was expected to play a supervisory role.
Now the Jew set up the Jim Crow, but he pulled his brother and Gentile into it.
That's right.
So that they will be the overseers of the slaves that they control on their plantations, etc. Read on,
right.
baby.
Hide their hand, throw the rock,
Hide their hand. Yeah.
Under this newly formed racial caste system, blacks, despite having been declared free, were to be kept far away from the voting booth.
Wow.
And all efforts at black education that did not serve the end of white supremacy were to be violently repelled.
I mean, not even the right to read.
That's right.
Not even the right to go to a decent school. You know the work.
That's right.
I mean, come on, baby.
A financial system was created that excluded black economic independence. A system of labor was established which ensured that blacks could find no employment options other than as plantation laborers, domestics, or bearers of heavy loads.
Better known as sharecropping. Come on, baby.
The blacks were denied any legal rights within the judicial system, and we don't have rights now.
Yes. And see, my daddy, I'm the son of sharecroppers. My daddy and my mama picked cotton. My daddy said his daddy almost had to beat him or threatened to beat him to get out there and help pay them bills picking that cotton. But my daddy he refused, but he had to surrender because he didn't want to get a beating. But nobody, it don't take a lot of intelligence to know they owe us for free labor.
That's right, for free labor.
For free labor.
Accompanying these specific policy objectives was the psychological necessity that blacks be inculcated in the unshakable belief that they were utterly inferior to any white person.
Psychological effects. Yes. See, that's white supremacy and black inferiority.
That's right. And all thoughts of equality or justice they declared to entertain had to be extinguished.
Extinguished.
Permanently. And irrevocably. No, you cannot be free, black people. I'm sorry. You are inferior.
Yeah, that's right. That's what they thought.
In fact, all of these policies were successfully institutionalized in America.
Yes.
And many still exist in some form throughout American society.
Today,
Yes.
today, 2023, still exists.
Yes. All the racial ills of today, the alarming disparities in the condition of white and black Americans can be traced to these post-slavery imperatives.
Post-slavery imperatives. Now, this is not the Nation of Islam talking.
Right.
These are Jewish rabbis and scholars. See, the president,
Barack?
no, the president in the office, not Jimmy Carter, when they was in the office.
Savior's Day?
No, when the minister made Savior's Day, it was President, the Watergate president.
Nixon.
It was President Nixon, and what was the preacher's name? President Nixon and
What's that preacher's name?
the evangelist Billy Graham.
Okay.
Evangelist Billy Graham in the White House talking. But see, these are European, these are Caucasian, these are Gentiles. And they're talking, they had to acknowledge themselves that this Jew, there are two types of Jews.
That's right.
One is an authentic Jew, like these, and the other one is a satanic Jew. One believes in the Torah,
That's right.
authentic, and the other one believes in the Talmud. Okay?
That
But
they produce.
that they produce. It's not from God. Read on, baby. I just wanted to make that point. But that's how they are ruling this country.
That's right. As the minister spoke on Savior's Day.
As the minister spoke on Savior's Day.
Okay, the relationship between blacks and Jews is a subset of this larger American race relations tragedy.
Yes.
Jews are whites in a system that has conferred all of its benefits, privileges, and advantages on a purely racial basis.
Purely racial basis.
And Jews have attained a higher level of prosperity than that achieved by any other